Welcome back to Campervan UK. This is week 6 of the campervan build. Let's get into it.
What's going on here, Matt?
Oh, it's almost sat. Wish me luck. The Persuader.
That's not a good start.
What's the plan for this week? Well, the plan, I put a short out yesterday and I was asking for any advice of anybody to fill these holes. I've got some holes on the rear doors and the sliding door from when I brought the van, it came with deadlocks on it, and it wasn't a problem at the time as I was using it for work, but now I need to carpet the doors and I've got these big horrible cutouts in all the doors, so I need to either trim over them or fix them somehow. The way I think I've come up with is these original holes. What I'm going to do is we've got the rivets still drilled out, so I'm going to fully drill the rivets out, remove them, and then I saved a cutout from one of the windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some nice even sheets of metal for both of the back doors so they both match, and I'm going to rivet them back into these existing holes. So I've just got to prime the edges, make sure it prevents against rust, and then I can put the clean metal over it and carpet over that, so it should give it a pretty nice finish. So that's the first job on the list. Let's get into it. The list of jobs for this week is I've got to cover some holes on the back door, I've got to fit the ceiling panels and wire in the lights, and I'm going to aim to try and carpet both the rear doors and the sliding door. It's a lot of work to do. We've got about 3 or 4 days to do it, so fingers crossed we can get it done. Let's crack on. First job on the list is going to be to try and fill these holes. They're like horrible gouges. The reason these are here is when I brought the van, it had some deadlocks fitted to the rear doors and the side doors. So this is where they've cut out to fit the deadlocks. These bits of metal sticking out are what are left of the old rivets, so I need to get rid of them. The plan I've got is I saved a cutout from one of the windows, so I've got some of the original van metal with the original paint on it. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces about yay big to fit on the back of this door and the back of the other door, so when they're closed it looks uniform. I need to rust prevent all of the edge, and then I'm going to stick them panels over it and I'm going to rivet them into place. Once I've done that, the whole panel is going to get carpeted over. It won't be as perfect as factory, but it should match when both the doors are closed, so I need to do that on both of the rear doors, and then also there's one on the sliding door. Let's give it a go. What I'm thinking the best way is to approach this is, because these rivets are properly riveted in, I can't pull them out. So I've got an angle grinder. I'm thinking if I can grind them off, I've got a sanding disc for me grind it, I can then sand the area down to get that flush, then I can go over it, prime it, and then by the time I've put a new sheet of metal on it, it should all be covered. So yeah, should we get to it? Don't really know how this is going to go. Can't forget your PPE. Oh goody hell, they're a bit misty, aren't they? Goggles and ear defenders. Let's give it a go, eh? Just got to be careful with it. You know what, I think that's come out all right. Might even just hand sand that down if I'm honest. Yeah, I think we'll get away with that. Do the other one. Yeah, that looks all right. Sweet, I might have to sand them ones down here because when they've riveted it, they've actually pulled the metal on this one. So if I can sand that flat, then a new piece of metal should go over pretty well. The discs I've just got one of these 80 grit sanding discs. It might even be less than that. Pretty sure it's 80 grit, but it has been used, so it is a bit worn, but it's stronger and safer than doing it with a normal grinding disc. Let's take this disc off and we'll swap it. Bosh. Oh, almost dropped it. Let's give this a go now. Brilliant. I'm going to touch one up on this side. That is looking pretty good. I'll give you a close up in a second. I'm not going to touch any of them up. You don't really need it, and I don't want to spray sparks at the glass because it will burn the glass. That is looking pretty good if I don't say so myself. I've just got some of this old silicone to clean off. And then if we see this one as well, look at, they've proper butchered that, haven't they? But yeah, rivets are out. The metal in question that I'm going to be using is this here. And this is actually a cutout from when they cut this rear window out. So it is the original factory metal. I don't know if it's aluminium or what, but that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to cut 2 uniform pieces out. So my logic is, when these doors both butt up next to each other, I want the same piece running from effectively like, from like there to there, and I'm going to rivet it on so they both look identical when they're next to each other. So I can do both the rear ones, and the side one shouldn't be as difficult because as you can see on the side, I can just basically make a square piece, rivet it back into them two existing holes, and we should be good to go from there. I'm going to prime these, then I'm going to start cutting the piece of metal that I'm going to need for the rear doors. Just giving these panels a wipe off with a bit of brake cleaner. And what I'm going to do, I've got some rust preventive grey primer for metal, so I'm just going to spray that over where the rivets are, and I've just got a piece of cardboard so I don't cover the windows. Give this a shake. Right, I'm just going to hold this cardboard up against the window so I don't cover that. I'm just going to spray what needs to be sprayed. That didn't help, I've already got it on the window. Make sure to get that off. That should be better. Looking pretty good. Do the other side. Probably would have been easy to do this job like one of the first jobs, but you live and you learn. Sweet. Whilst I wait for them to dry, I'm going to start prepping and cutting the metal. I'm going to cut the metal. I'm going to measure what thickness I need, double it. That'll give me both the pieces. I'm going to cut them out and they should both be the same then. I'm going to start cutting out these panels for the rear, and what I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to give myself a straight edge to work off. So to do that, I'm just going to mark up, nice relatively straight edge, put a mark across it with my pencil. Done. Be better off with a marker pen, but I can't find it. I just need to cut this with the angle grinder, so now I've got a relatively straight edge to work off. Then I'm going to square it off down here, and then I should have a nice square edge to work off, like I say, and we can cut the panels. Let's cut the first panels. PPE, goggles, and ear defenders. Hang on, I didn't even get my cutting disc. Let's quickly swap over this cutting disc. You could also do this with a pair of tin snips, but I don't have any. So let's get cutting. All I've done there is just scored a mark across, so then I can go back and see where I'm cutting. And there we have it. One straight edge, so I'm going to get my square on this, roughly square down this side, and then I've got a nice piece to work off. This won't be perfect, and I'm not trying to make it perfect. I just want something that's workable, if that makes any sense. That'll do is, now I'm going to cut myself that straight edge, I'm going to score it and then cut all the way through. Then I can start measuring for where these panels are going to go. We've got a very rough square edge here, and I want to give this bottom a square edge again, so I'm going to get my square on again and cut it. You could also measure down from the top, which would probably give you a more accurate way of doing things, but for the purposes of this, I'm not going to bother. Beautiful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure what width I'm going to need for each piece, because I know one door is slightly wider than the other one. So I can cut the width, and then also I need to cut the length, because at the moment, I think this might be too long, but eyeballing it, it looks all right. So let me get my tape measure. The length of that piece that I've cut now is 480mm, which is going to sit pretty nice. It's going to give us mostly coverage on here, which I think is going to be less noticeable than having a little piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure around what the circumference of this curve, what I need. And then what else I've noticed is this edge isn't straight, it's got a slight curve in it. So I might have to put some nicks down the side to let this piece bend. So the measurement I'm going to need is it's 30mm down to this edge here, with 20mm thick, and then I'm going to give it another 30mm, well, 40mm this side to lap back onto itself. So the total measurement we need is 90mm thick for this piece. So I'm going to cut that one, then we'll measure for the second one. So let's get cutting. So I'm going to measure off this edge, which gives us a uniform length for both pieces. So I'm going to measure in 90mm top and bottom, like so, and then I'm going to connect these up with my 2-foot level. Sweet. So now I'm going to cut that when we grind it, and then I've got to somehow bend it into shape. We'll figure that out in a minute. So we've got a 90mm strip now. I'm just going to run a bit of sandpaper around just to take the burr off the edge of this. I'm going to try and bend it into shape. Once I've done that, I can go around and prime the edge to make sure it's all sealed. Sandpaper wasn't enough, so I'm just going to take it round with my grinding disc just to get rid of that burr. That's looking good. So now we've got to try and bend it. So I need a 30mm strip, a 20mm piece, and a 40mm piece. So I think I'm going to start by bending the 40mm piece, as that's going to sit by the window, and then hopefully I can bend the rest of it around. So I'm going to come into this piece, I'm going to mark 40mm all the way down one edge. So we'll do that, and we'll just mark it with my 2-foot level again. Brilliant. So I'm going to try and get a bend on there somewhat 90 degrees. I don't know how well it's going to work. I'm going to see if I can bend it by hand first. If not, I'll get a pair of mole grips or pliers on it. So let's just give that a go. It's going to be a little bit like lead work, isn't it? But do you know what? I think it might go. I'm going to get some clamps on it some clamps and a pair of pliers. I'm going to line this line up with the edge of my table so I've got a straight surface to work on. And I'm going to clamp my 2 foot level to hold the back edge down. So I'm going to clamp that to the table. Hopefully that holds it down well enough, but we'll see. Do that both sides. And then I've got myself a pair of pliers and also a rubber mallet. So I'm going to try and bend it down with the pliers and tap it with the mallet and just see if that does the job. What I'm doing here is I've just got the pliers on and I'm just bending it down. Work my way across that. I'm going to go across and try and tap this edge because I want it nice and uniform. Definitely not perfect by any means, but not bad either. I've got a somewhat 90-degree piece. See if this even fits. If I'm honest, I have no idea if this fits. I hope it does. So, no, it doesn't, because of the bend in the door, which is actually quite severe. That's going to be an issue. I think that's actually going to be quite an issue. I'll show you. The issue I've got is when I hold this metal on, look at the gap down the back of there. Curve in the door, which I knew about, but I didn't think it'd be that bad. And I think because of how stiff this metal is, if I have to bang that on the door, I'm going to end up damaging something. So I might actually have to have a look at either trying to fill it a different way or welding it, which is not what I want to do. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments if I haven't sorted it out in this video. Yeah, that might take some expertise. This side I'll be able to get away with carpeting straight over, which is a plus. The one that I know I can definitely do is this one here, because that's straight, it's just a little piece of metal, so I'm going to do that one now. Yeah, it's going to be an issue, that back one. So the back piece hasn't gone to plan, but I'm hoping the side door bit does, because that is only a straight piece of metal. So I just need to get that rivet out first, and then I can just measure, got a nice piece of metal to go over there. So let's do it. I think for getting that rivet out, probably going to be best drilling it out. I'm going to try and drill out this top rivet, because if I can, I'll be able to rivet over it. Spot on. I'm going to give that a clean up with a bit of white spirits and brake cleaner, prime it, and then I'm going to cut a piece to go over it, and I can rivet that in place, and then that's one sorted. Let's give this a wipe over. I will most likely glue this piece on as well, just to help seal any water. I've got some primer left over it from when I did the windows, so I think I'm going to use that stuff, just dab it around the edge, and that should do the job. So this primer is the stuff that came with the window kit, and I used it on this metal before, and it is some pretty good stuff. The only problem with it being is it's very dark, so I don't want to get it everywhere, and I haven't got a brush, so I'm going to have to use a cloth. So let's... I can't even dab it in. Alright, so we've got some on the end of my cloth, as you can see, and I'm just going to wipe it on any bits of this bare metal here and the edges, just to make sure there's no exposed metal or edges left, because that's not what we want. Just like that, and I'm also going to go a little bit wider, just so I can hopefully get some of the glue to stick. Just like that. So now I'm going to put this cloth in the bin before I get... I've already primed my finger. Look at that. Oh God. Right. Get the lid on that before I knock it over, and I'm going to cut a piece of metal to fit on there now. Just going to measure this. So I'm going to do it slightly oversized. I'm going to do 120mm by 120mm by 40mm, and then once I've done that, I'm going to measure out the placement for the holes so I can drill them onto the piece beforehand, and then I can rivet that in place, and then that should be a problem sorted. Clean my little area up a bit because it's turning into a mess already. So using the piece of metal that I've already got a nice square edge on, I'm going to measure out the piece that I need. So I need a piece at 40mm width. We can mark that up, and it needs to be 120mm long, just like that. So let's get that marked up. Just like that. So we've got the piece we need marked up, and now I need to mark up where them holes are going to go, because it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to drill them out when it's on this big piece compared to holding that little piece. I don't fancy it spinning and cutting my fingers off. So let me measure up where these holes need to go. The existing holes are 85mm apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the centre of this piece, which will be 20mm in, and I'm going to mark that, mark the centre up, and then I'm going to find the centre lengthways, which will be 60mm. So we'll put a mark there. And then from the centre, I'm going to measure back 42.5mm on each one. So that's there. So now I've got both of them marks, the points, so I can drill them out now. Nice and centre on this piece. So when I rivet it on, it's going to line up nice with the metal that's already on there. I'm going to drill them out, and then I'm going to cut the piece out. So let me grab my drill. Got my drill bit. So let's drill both of these. That's 2. So now I can go ahead and cut that out, and that'll give us the piece of metal that we need. Get my PPE on. Oh, I've got to swap the disc again, haven't I? And there we have it, a little piece of metal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the burr off this one again, and then that, prime it, and then we can get ready to try it on. I'm going to hold this with a pair of pliers because I don't fancy losing my fingers. That's looking pretty good, so I'm going to try it over the hole and just push 2 rivets in, not rivet them yet, see how that looks, and if it's alright, I can prime that and get it ready to go on. Try this one in place, it's looking like it will line up. That will line up, so I can prime this one now and get it looking half decent. Do you know what I just missed? The massive one that's on the back of here. Right, I'm going to get this piece sanded up nice, so it's going to look nice when it's on there. Roll on the time lapse. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm sanding this so we get some nice straight edges so it looks nice when it's on there. I'm not going to use the black primer on this piece of metal. What I'm going to use is, I've got a touch-up kit for my van, so I'm going to use the same colour paint and I can go around the edge and it's not going to have any of that horrible black mark. So that piece, show you. So I think that piece is looking pretty good now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up all the edge with my touch-up kit, so it's all the same colour, and then I can rivet that one on. Whilst, well, before I do that, I've got to do this rear one that I've just spotted. This one here has still got a lot of the original sealant around it, so I'm going to have to take that off, and this one's going to be a bit more difficult because it's not as easy to get them work. So I'm going to try and get that off with some sort of Stanley knife, give it a clean up, and then prime it. I'm just going to have to do it holding the bare blade, I think, because I can't really get my knife in. This is going to take a while. Need to try and give this a clean off the best I can. That's already looking 10 times better. So now I'm going to measure up again for another piece of metal, and I'm going to cut the metal and drill the holes again, same as I did on the other one. The only problem I might have is how big these holes are. I might have to make the piece slightly longer and drill some new holes so I can put a rivet in. So let's have a look into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure the piece of metal that I need for the side door. I'm going to cut that out and drill the holes in it ready for the rivets. Once I've done that, I can prime both pieces and get them stuck on. The piece that I need for over there is 230mm long by 40mm wide. So I'm going to get that cut, I'm going to get it prepped, exactly the same process as the other one. Exactly the same process as the other one. So you ready? Let's go. So I've got both of the pieces cut out now, and they're both looking pretty good if I don't say so myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe them off with some white spirits, get them nice and clean, and then I've got one of these paint chip repair kits because I need to go around the bodywork of the paint anyway. And these have some pens, they've got some grey primer, some matching paint, and they've got some clear coat. So I'm just going to go around the edges of these, get them all sealed. So I'll start off by giving them a wipe down. Yeah, if you're wondering what the marks were on this, it's just Sharpie from when I marked up the windows originally to cut them. That's come up really nice and clean. So I'm going to go around the edges and I'm going to just put some of this grey primer on first. I'm guessing that's how it works. So I've got to put it on the end of one of these tips. Oh, right, okay. You've got a brush built in, makes it easier. So I'm just going to go around the edge, paint the edges. So now I've got that primer on there, get that back, that'll edge up. I'm going to wipe off the excess off the edge so it doesn't look bad. It's like Tipex, this primer. To be fair, the primer is going to be the one that's stopping the rust. So I'm going to try riveting this on to see what it looks like. I've already primed the side, so let's go for it. I'm going to start off by just putting some sticks all, just to try and seal the area before I put the plate on. There we go. So I'm going to get a cloth, I'm going to press it on, so hopefully it lines up, and then just get a cloth and clean off any of the excess. So let's get this over it. So now that's on, I'm going to try and rivet it in place. Let me go get my riveter. Right, it's got my riveter. Good, it's still on there. Rivet it in place. Oh no, rivet won't fit the rivets. Oh God. Right, let's try and rivet this in place. See if it'll go. No, because I haven't got an end that works. So I'm going to have to leave that to dry where it is, and then once that's dried, I'm going to have to get a different riveter to rivet that on. But anyway, let's do the back ones. I've got a different approach for that. What I'm going to do for this one differently is I've got some stainless steel self-tappers that I'm going to be using for this one because I think it's going to fix it better. So this one, I cut it oversized, reason being because these holes are quite big. So theory is I can put my self-tappers in and it's going to basically suck on pretty well. So what I'm going to do is just mark up roughly where these self-tappers need to go. So they need to go somewhere around here, just so I've got reference, and then that's going to go on across there and get glued. So it's glued, Well, let's get the self-tappers sort of started off, eh? I've just gone through and I've just pre-drilled both the holes where I'm going to put the self-tappers. Reason being, it's just going to, I haven't got the greatest area to work, so it's just going to help me guide the screws in a little bit easier. I'm going to go and get my impact driver. I'm going to pre-drill them all the way through and then we can get the self-tappers in. I'm going to pre-drill this now with just a little tiny, I think it's 2mm bit. And then that's just going to give us enough space. Right. Right, so now I'm going to get the self-tappers in and glue. I'm going to put a nice thin layer of stick saw just around these holes to seal it. Let's get this stuck on. Do you know what? I'm going to get a screw through, well, I don't know if I will be able to. We try and get a screw through this, we can line it up. Try and get it on. Let's get the bottom on it. Right, so that piece is now on. I just need to make sure the door actually closes. Oh, I thought I left my keys inside, man. Right, the door shuts and it opens. Sweet. So that's on there now and it's sealed. Bang on. I think that's a job well done. If I've done anything wrong, please let me know because I'll go back and fix it. But I think that's a pretty decent fix. From how that back one's come on, I'm going to remake the side one so I can do that with the self-fixing. So I'm going to remake this, but I'm going to make it 20mm longer. That's going to allow me space to put the self-tappers in. So I'm going to make that and then we'll screw it on. Battery's just died on my camera, we're charged. So I've cut a new piece and I've drilled the holes on it. So I'm going to get the stick saw on there again. I'm going to pre-drill it and I'm going to self-tap it on again. So let's get some nice dollop of it, stick saw on. There we go. Let's stick this on. We'll drill this and then we'll put the self-tappers in. Nice little self-tapping. These are just a little 16mm self-tappers. There we go. Let's get this one in. There we go, so that's on. That's on and hopefully that's sealed. So I'm going to try to see if the door will shut again. If it will, I think the quid's in. I'll take that. I will take that. Check it. Yeah, that's the patch on the sliding door. Well, sorry, on the chassis. And the patch on the sliding door is this one here. So the one I need help with is this one, which I think is going to be a real pain. I can get away with carpeting over that one. That's the one that's going to be an issue. So if anybody has any idea, please let me know. Trip to tool station is in order. I need some wire strippers. Let's have it. Bosh. Wire cutters acquired. I don't know how good they are. They're only some Magnuson ones from Tool. Minotaur, not Magnuson. Minotaur wire snippers from Tool Station. They'll do the job. I've got to go to Tool Station again. I thought I had more Wagoos than I do. I've got 4. So I'm going to have to go get a pack of 50. Don't you just love driving around? Yeah, it's my fault for not checking. So the plan of action is I'm hoping to get these lights in, but I'm going to need a load of 3-way Wagoos. When I got my kit from Vunkt, there's some in the packet and I thought, oh yeah, there's loads. I've just had a closer look. There's about 4. The rest of them double ones. I'm going to need them for the fuse board. So come on, Tool Station. We'll see you again. Wagoos, how do you pronounce them? 3-way Wagoos acquired. So now we can start on the lights. Let's get back home again. Bosh. I'm back from my trip from Tool Station again. So I've got my wire strippers now and I've got the 3-way Wagoos. Wagoos, I still can't pronounce it right. So I'm going to start off by trying to fix in place this first ceiling panel, which is going to go here. This is the one I've already got the lights mounted to and the wires are already on the lights. So what I'm thinking to do this, I'm obviously going to be snipping both of the middle of these loops, hooking the wires up with the 3-way Wagoos and then trying to put the boards up. So I'm going to balance this on a hop up, wire them up and send them up. So should we give it a go? I was looking for a little hop up but I haven't got one, so we're on a stool. So my plan is, in theory, it's only theory, we've got to make it work yet, is I'm going to put this board on here. Yeah, we're way too low. But I'm going to snip these, wire the lights up, put the board up, knock the pins in, and then that's the back board done. So I'm going to get out the side door and we're going to give it a go. Bear with me. I'm going to be better with a set of trestles. Right, that's a hell of a lot better, and you can roughly see what I'm doing. What I'm going to do, I've got a box of 50 3-way Wagos. Oh, it's got a little push here. Push that. Yeah. On the other side. We open. Whoa. I can already see myself spilling them everywhere. So these are 3-way Wagos. Wagos, I still can't pronounce these. If you've ever seen them before, it's just a real easy way of hooking everything up. You've got 3 little levers. So basically the light's going to go into the middle, positive in there, and the positive for the light, and then you can clip them all, and that's done. Same for the negative, so it just saves any soldering, and it's just a nice, easy way of doing it. First time using them, so let's give it a go. I just want to add, that was 20 quid for 50 of them. 20 quid, it's insane. So I'm going to be starting this off by snipping the loop, which is what I'm actually quite terrified to do, if I'm honest. So I'm going to make sure I've got it there nice and even, and then we're just going to go for it. I'm going to snip that straight down the middle. Done. And then I'm opening these wire strippers. Oh, I've got to unscrew a little safety rail, hang on. The wire snippers I've gone for are just these Minotaur, I think about 13 quid, just some automatic wire strippers. I need to take this little plastic clip off, bear with me. Now that's removed, these are pretty simple to use. So basically, you put the wire in. One side you've got the cutter, one side you've got the puller. You squeeze it and it will automatically strip the cable for you. I've also got crimps on here and a pair of wire snips, but I don't need them because I've already got a pair of dedicated wire snips. The reason I'm doing this is because it's going to give it a nicer finish, and I want to be quite accurate and hopefully save me some time. Save faffing about doing it with a Stanley knife, and I think these are about 12 quid from the tool station. So for 12 quid we'll see if they're any good. What I'm going to do is this double cable, I need to make sure this is the first one and this is the second one to make sure I get them the right way around. But I'm going to start off by stripping this 12-volt cable in them. There you go, it's going to be if it fits. There we go. We'll get that in there and we'll strip that. Piece of cake, not the nicest finish, but I'm going to take a little bit more off there. Just like that. So now we've got the red and the black. Do you know what? I'm going to do a bit of video on my phone so you can see. So on here, you've now got the positive and the negative cable, the red and the black. So I'm going to strip both of them. So we've got about 10mm hanging off, and then we can put them into the little 3-way Wago clips. To be fair, probably all right with 5mm, so I'm going to snip them. Same process as before, put them in the wire snippers and just like that, nice and easy. Why didn't I get a pair of these sooner? Just make, oh my god, they're so easy. That is what you call an investment. I'm going to do the same on the other one. So let's put this in here. If it fits, this is right on the limit of what fits in here as well, you know. There we go, might even take a little bit more. There we go. So now snip both of these. Now on both of these cables, we've got the positive and the negative both split. And also we've got it done on the, which these came from factory, we've got these done on the lights. So what I'm going to be doing is the black, so it's going to go the first black, the black off the light, third black, straight into the first Wago, and then same with the red. So I'm going to do that now and show you what it looks like. So first, you're going to want to open up your little Wago clip, and then I'm going to be going black into the first one. I'll give you a close-up of this in a minute. Then I can shut that. Wow, that grabs on. Then I'm going to do the same on the light. And that's going to go into the middle one. I might have to make this table higher, actually. Oop, that's in. Wow, they grab on. And then I'm going to go right into the other negative. Just like that, without smushing up the rest of my cables, like I've just done. Like an absolute moron. What's going on here, Matt? So now, as you can see, it goes black, 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 all into one clip. I'm going to get another clip and do the same with the red. I'll tell you what, it's actually quite difficult to record, let alone do. No electrician, me. You know what, I'm going to leave the cables longer on the next one, because that's going to make it so much easier. Do you know what, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to strip a little bit more off these cables, just so the ends aren't all crammed up. I'm going to take about another inch off, I think. And that's going to leave me less stress on the actual clips. So let's go again. Let's clip this up. Probably doesn't help doing it the way I have done it, but you'll live and you'll learn. So that is now one of them hooked up. So I'm going to go across the same on the second one, and then we can try and get this panel up. Bring you in for close up. So that now is, as you can see, we've got the 3 reds in this clip, 3 blacks in that one. And that's coming first off from the right cable to the second one, right down to the light. So now I'm going to follow that across, do the same for the second light, and then try and get this panel up. I'm hoping that's better being zoomed in a little bit. See if it'll bosh. So let's snip this straight through, and I'm going to take off about 2 inches of this mat, of the original coating. Just like that. Same on the other one. And then I'm going to separate the red and the black, and I'm going to strip about 5mm off the end of each one of them. Ace, just like that. And then we're going to get another another 2 Wago clips, like that. Open them all up and just thread the cables on. This is literally electrics for dummies. That's what they should say on the box. I mean, it wouldn't make actual electricians very happy, I'm sure, but there we go. Same for the black. Look at that, piece of cake. Now I'm going to clear this top off because knowing me, I'll end up knocking the box of Wagos over. Tell me if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, let me know in the comments because I feel like an idiot saying it wrong. I think you can do voice comments now, so if any of you are brave enough, let me know what's the right thing to say. Let me clear this worktop off here. I need to go get my prop to prop this up, my little mallet, and we're going to try and put this panel up. I have had it in before, but now we're going to try and do it for good. Wish me luck. I know I shouldn't need my rubber mallet, but I've got it just in case. Just in case. I do know what I'm going to call it. The persuader, just in case these clips need persuading. I'm going to try and lift this up, get the prop in, and then once we've got the prop in, we can start trying to fit these clips. It hasn't been in since the carpet was on, so wish me luck. Try and spread them apart. That's what she said. We're going to lift this up, way up, way up, way up, whoa, 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 whoa. Do you know what? This is more difficult than I remember. I need to be inside the van though. Let me just try and get it so it's... Oh, that looks sick. That looks mint. Let me get these trestles out the way and we'll get it in properly. That looks mint. That honestly looks really good. But before I get distracted by that, it's not in yet, is it? Let's... Oh, do you know what? I'm going to have to go get my screwdriver so we can line these holes up again. Oh, that looks mint. Right, where's my screwdriver? Screwdriver acquired. I'm going to start on these middle holes and work my way out because that seemed to work last time. But now I can't even see where the... that's a hole. That is a hole. I don't know if it's the hole, but it's a hole. So let's try and get him in. I'm hoping these just not done anything. No, absolutely nothing. So let's get that one back out. Yeah. Oh yes, that's going to be reusable. Right, that did nothing, which means why didn't that do anything? I think that needs pressing up a little bit more first. So I'm hoping that's in now. Sure. No, that didn't do anything at all. This is going to be more difficult than I first thought, which has been the majority of the project so far. Right, I'm going to try a different hole. Yeah, we're nowhere near lined up, so God knows what that was going in, if I'm honest. I'm going to go with, it's going to be a good hole to start with. That one there. Right, we've got one hole there that's definitely lined up. Time for the persuader. Whoa, the persuader's doing work here. Oh, we've sent him in with the persuader. That one's bit. I'm going to try the other side to see if that one's going to go. If it will, I think we're on to a winner. If it doesn't, then obviously something's wrong. Where's the hole gone? I can't even find the hole. I think I found the hole and we're miles off it. Yeah, miles off. Anyway, we've got one in. Just try and get another one in. I feel like this is just going to be a job of just working with it again. Because if I try and work against it, it's not going to end well, is it? No way are we in. Oh my God, I think we are. Be nice and gentle. Oh, he's done it again. The persuader's off to a good start. This is going to be harder than I thought. Every time I knock a pin in it, it keeps pulling itself back out. I think, let me get a second prop on that. Prop number 2 coming into action. Come on, baby. I'm hoping that's going to solve all my problems. Probably won't, but... oh, it might do. Oh yeah, that solved my problems. Try for the middle one. Beautiful. That one holding. Oh yeah, we're on for a winner here. Right, I'm going to try and get a middle one in because I want to hold this bow, if that makes any sense. Try and get this one, if I can locate that, which should be there, right above us, which is a good start. Get the second prop underneath it. Right, I'm going to cut to a time lapse because I feel like I'm going to be here a while. Wish me luck. That is the first ceiling panel in. Look at that, looks sick. Lights wired up. I thought it was pretty bang on. So now the more difficult one, which is that back one, and that was more difficult to go in last time. This one was difficult enough, but that other one's gonna be more difficult. Not too what to do, we say. All I've done here is, let me move these out of the way. I'm going to prep all these cables and then they're ready to have the lights going in, because the lights I haven't actually put into the board yet. So I'm going to prep all of these. As soon as I've prepped all of them, we can get the lights on, try and get the second board up. Wish me luck. I think I'm going to need it. Let's go around snipping. So it's going to be exactly the same process as the last one. So I'm just going to snip that. Same on this one, snip it. Exactly the same process. So I'm going to snip it, strip it, then add the waggos. Let's roll. Sweet. Now the other ones. That's all the lights on. So now I'm going to get the lights fixed into the board. We'll try and get the board up. That's a difficult bit. So I'm going to get this light in here. I don't think you can actually push them through. You've got to unscrew them and put them on, which is a bit weird. But it is what it says. Let's try and get the board up. Just try and prop it up. Oh, thank God. Right, I'm going to try and line this back edge up. Let me do that top. The persuader. Let's get this one in. Get in there, have a look at this. Take a look. Lights are in. Ceiling somewhat in. I have got this trim board to go through the middle, which I need to put on in a minute. And then I need to sort out the trim board for this end here. But so far, thumbs up from me. I've gone ahead and I've fitted the ceiling panels and I've put that strip through the middle. I think they're looking really good, if I don't say myself. I'm really happy with how that's come out, and I think the contrast looks pretty good, especially when it's going to be paired up with the rear doors. Tomorrow I'm going to try and get these side panels on. I've got a little surprise and a little detail for what's going on this one, so I'm going to try and put this panel on, and I need to have a look at start carpeting the rear doors. There's one of the doors that I can't carpet because I need to figure out how to fill the little hole that's in the door, so I'm going to have a look at that tonight and I can start getting these panels on. Yeah, coming along really well. I'm chuffed with it. We're not far off actually, looking at what flooring to put in and to order the kitchen unit. I need to run the wires, the 12-foot wires for the fridge and for the diesel heater. I also need to fit the diesel heater and I'm not looking forward to that. But once I've fitted them, I can get the flooring in, get the kitchen in, run the rest of the wires, wire it up, put the bed in, and we're not far off done, if I'm honest. And I'm absolutely loving the journey so far. Today, I'm going to be trying to fit this panel that goes on this wall, and also on the panel, I've got myself a carpeted VW logo that I've made that I'm going to try and put on. So what I've seen is with these T6.1s, normally from the T6 backwards, they used to drill out all the holes and you could just slot your pins in. But with the T6.1s, they didn't. They only drilled the bottom ones, which means I've got to drill the top ones out. So I need to find these bottom holes, and my way of doing that is I'm going to be using the factory panels that already exist. I'm going to be lining two of the holes up, and then I can just mark them with a marker pen, and I can cut them out. And then also I've got to do the same on this carpeted panel. Once I've done that, I can roughly put the bottom one in place, and then I've got to drill 3 holes across the bottom, 4 holes across the top, and then I can get this panel on. So let's give it a go, eh? So I'm thinking, I have already located one of the holes, which is like right up this corner. So I'm going to put myself a little dot in there, and then to break through it, this isn't the best idea, but it works. It's just knock a screwdriver through, and that's worked on the ceiling panel so far. So I'm going to be repeating it. So now we've got that one lined up. Need to find this one here, which is there. So I'm just going to be knocking that one through. Just like that. Make sure not to obviously not go all the way through, because if you do that, you're going to end up knocking the bodywork on the outside, which is not what you want. So now that they're roughly marked through, I'm just going to go ahead, locate these other holes. Like that one, these are located, matching up pretty easy if I don't say so myself. Probably jinxed it now, but you'll live and you'll learn. Another one, and there's just 2 more. So that's them holes punched out. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to flip this carpeted board over. To be fair, I could arguably do it on the back. I'm going to line them 2 boards up just like that, and then I'm just going to mark the holes that I've just punched through with my Sharpie. Now that they're marked with my Sharpie, I'm going to drill them through. Make sure not to pull the carpet off, so to drill them I'm going to be using a nice sharp 8mm drill bit. I've seen people recommend a 9mm because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but I haven't got one, so we're going to go 8mm straight through, nice sharp piece so it cuts through the carpet. Then we can hopefully line these bottom pins up. Let's get drilling. To drill these holes, I've got a scrap piece of wood underneath the face of the plywood, so when I drill through, it doesn't push out the other end of the plywood. So let's drill them. Just like that. That should be, yep, right the way through. And that's come out pretty nice. That is now the bottom holes drilled on that carpet piece. So I'm going to get myself another 50 clips, because I've gone through 50 already. I'm just going to put just the end pieces in. I'm not going to knock the clips in yet, because I need to get them out to do the top holes. But they should fit right the way through there, just about. So now we need to line them up and get this board on. So I might try and line them up. I'm going to try and line them up again with a screwdriver, because that seemed to work last time. Right, we've got one there. Let's just try and knock that piece in. You know what, I might put the pin in just to see if it'll hold. And that did absolutely nothing. That's not a good start. Let's try a different one. Before I faff about with that, let me try and get another one on. It's in a slightly easier position. Go first one here. And that one didn't go on. That is really, really, really not good. It's almost like the clips aren't long enough. They are 23mm clips, but they're not having it, which gives me a horrible feeling. I've made all these panels out of 6mm. I've got a horrible feeling they need to be 3mm now, or 3.6mm, which I really hope isn't the case. So them clips aren't long enough. Unless just get some longer clips, which is what I might have to do, unfortunately. I'll try and get that out, because that's not going to come either. You get a pair of pliers on them. What I think the problem is I've left quite an overhang of carpet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it back where the actual holes are to allow it to press up against the panel better. So I'm going to cut that off now, try it again, and hopefully that fixes it. Right, let's try the panel on again. Whoa, let's get the panel back in place, and then we get another clip, and we'll try again. Right, get that through there, which we now know we are. In fact, we need to line that back up again with the screwdriver. Yeah, come on, clip. I want to get this as tight as I can. Oh, it's almost sat. Almost sat. It just wasn't far enough. I'm thinking that's from the pressure of it bending, so I'm going to try one of the other ones and see what happens there. That was definitely a lot better though. I'm going to try this side again, because that one's going to give me an easier fixing, because it hasn't got as much to press. The only thing that I'm thinking is, because these are slightly set back, is that the reason? It just adds that extra few mil, and that's all it is why they're not grabbing. Let's get that on there. Try it. Well, let's locate it, and then we'll put that in there. Yeah, like that. Whoop. Really, that needs... See, that'll compress a good couple of mil, but it's trying to do it all at the same time that's a problem. Yeah, not having it at all. That didn't bite or nothing. Let me try and trim the carpet off the back of this panel, and then we'll try again, because I need them to sit in. Because, well, if not, it's going to sit there. It's higher up anyway. That is like an indent. Do you know what? I wonder if one of these bottom ones will go. All right, that's lining up there where that needs to be. Tap that in. That one might have actually got it. Yeah, see, that one's got it. So it is, I think it's just the fact of bending this panel, the stress on it, it's just a bit of a nightmare because of the thickness of the carpet, because it is quite thick carpet. So I might try bending that one in again, or I wonder if I can get this one in. No, because that's not going to line up, is it? Of course it won't. I didn't expect it to, if I'm honest. That'd be way too easy if it just went in. I'm going to have a reassess and come back, because that really doesn't like me. But in a plus bit, that looks sick when it's on there, I think, having a little VW logo. I might even redo it in the darker stuff, just so it has that bit of contrast on there. I think that'll look mint. It's currently 11:30 on Sunday night, and I'm editing video for tomorrow to come out. Yeah, so I left off where I was fixing the panel onto the wall. What I've actually done there, the week got pretty mental, so I couldn't carry it on. But for them clips, I'm not going to be able to use the plastic clips. I've had to order some matte black self-tappers, some 30mm tappers that I'm going to be using to screw into the metal, because they're going to give it a better fixing. And not only will they give it a better fixing, it's going to be better access if I've ever got to take the panels off again. So that's going to be better in the long run, so I'm waiting for them to arrive. They were supposed to be here today, but they didn't come, so now they're coming tomorrow. So yeah, got plenty of stuff to do. I've got to look at the diesel heater, and I'm absolutely dreading looking at the diesel issue. It's one job that I'm trying to postpone, but it's got to be done. So I need to start having a look at that as well. So if you have got any advice on fitting a diesel heater, let me know in the comments, because that'll be much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Next week's video is going to be the exact same time, 6 PM next Monday. Stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.